This is RPMMORadio.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
A podcast all about roleplay and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job!
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sib, Jazz, Sibh'Bae, and Kishmas.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players, and welcome to RPMMORadio, our 46th episode. You will respect my authority. I, of course, will be one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today, for a change, is the entire crew, Jazz, Kishmas, Sib, and Sibh'Bae. How's it going, everybody?
Hello. Going well, boss.
All right, and I also want to give a special thanks to our new call screener. For this time, it's going to be Rahanar. It'll probably switch between him and Yunfei, depending on who's available, if they're able to.
Woohoo!
Unfortunately, with all the, wanting to burn black people that the trolls have been wanting to do, we would prefer that not be on the air. So we're going to have a call screener to make sure that doesn't ever happen again.
Yep.
We also have locked down the server and stuff with the Dino Cop. Nice little bot that should keep things from being repeated and over again and, catches certain words and things like that. So, thankfully, cursing's still allowed. Just not burning an entire race of people because you think it's offensive and cool. Which, by the way, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, there was a couple wars on that one, actually. Still ongoing, in fact. So, with that, kind of a happy note. Yay, life. Want to give a special thanks to our Patreon donors, especially those at the raid boss level of That Guy Lazza and the Truth Bob.
Thank
you
you.
two could be cool, sexy, and just an all-around Spuds McKenzie kind of guy like those two.
The Truth Bob!
At patreon.com/RPMMORadio if you want to throw a few things our way, few bucks through nickels, couple pennies, 6-pack of beer. I mean, we're not really all that picky, especially Jazz.
Hey!
She just goes with whatever Mexican wine she finds to apparently just get drunk off her ass every night. I mean, we all remember.
Naughty.
We still remember
Or
St.
the botch
Patrick's
wine.
Day.
Friends here.
I learned a great deal about volume of alcohol. I will remember that in the future.
That's what she said.
Ah.
Yeah. So, wow, we've got everybody here today. Nothing's going to change. All right. Good to have everyone. So, of course, we do this every Saturday, 7 Central Time, over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. You two can...
Sometimes with more, sometimes with less.
Yes.
Sometimes I wish we had less. Yes, thank you for interrupting me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I interrupt because I love.
Yeah, there's
You
lots of
interrupt
love.
because you don't know how radio works.
You will respect my authority.
Yeah, only when you can say it without stuttering.
I don't know why you don't love me anymore.
I have a list. In
I'll
fact,
bet
actually,
you
the shorter list is reasons why I still love you, so we'll just go over that one. You make me a sandwich. I love the sandwiches. The boobies. Love the boobies.
Okay, we're done.
You smell like the inside of my mama's purse.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
bad.
I'm sorry I interrupted. I am so sorry.
Is it funny, completely related to that? I heard that joke on Family Guy. All I could think of was my grandma's purse that every time she opened it, it smelled like that pink, sugarless, carefree gum and lipstick. That is what the inside of my grandma's purse smelled like. I remember that from just years and years. It's just, I don't know why. It's a weird-ass thing to remember, but she always had both. So there you go. Weird little 5-year-old Ashen Phoenix memories.
Nice.
I still like carefree gum. It is not carefree. So, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah.
Authority.
Podcast stuff. So if you want to, you can always download it on Apple Podcast, Android, Spotify, Podbean, all the usual places. Anywhere you can go to download a podcast, we're probably there. They're all fairly the same. If you want to throw us a review over at Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate it. As soon as I figure out what the hell they did, I'll try to find them again. I did that the other day, and I couldn't find where the reviews are at anymore. So, pretty sure it's still a thing. I've not been told it's not, so I don't know. I don't know how half this stuff works. To be honest, the fact that this comes together every week at all is damn near proof of a higher divinity. I mean, really, it is a miracle of audio technology that is well beyond my ability to understand or comprehend. So let's see. Let's see. We got Jazz, Kishmas, Sib, and Sibh'Bae. Let's see. I think we should probably do what we've been doing in Roleplay, but I'm trying to decide if yeah. Yeah, I guess Kishmas, you've been gone for a while. Do you think Jazz should still go first?
Yes.
Okay. Jazz, go ahead and go first then.
Sorry. Okay. Well, let's see. This week has been pretty light for RP. I haven't had a lot of time. And I've been really tired because we were still running without air all week. So
Wow.
I would be out all day in the heat. I would come home and it would be hot and stuffy because we've been cooking and running the dryer. And yeah,
And,
it was pretty awful here.
apparently several boys really do generate a lot of body heat.
Yes, they apparently
Especially
do.
at their teenage years. That's why the Matrix worked so well. It was just a bunch of teenage boys in those pods.
Yeah,
Just making
truth.
things hot and stinky.
Hey.
Hey, he says. So I got it in my head that I should start working on my writing. And I have this program called Scrivener, which I don't know if anybody has heard about, but it helps you organize your writing thoughts, and it's absolutely a fantastic program and well worth the money that you spend for it. It's only like $30-40, something like that. It's not bad. So I have a book that I finished a long time ago that I'm rewriting, and so I started pulling in everything that has to do with that same world, and I put them all into the same file. So that took me the better part of a week and a half to do, and that's really what I did most of the week, in between getting some light RP with some new members and assigning tasks, which you all remember my tasks. Remember assigning tasks as officers? Apparently, this is a thing now. They want that. So I have been doing that. I've been assigning tasks to people to do to gain notoriety and to gain status in the guild. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow. You're boring.
I enjoyed it.
No, that's cool. It has, I think it's been a pretty, from what I've heard, I had an event that completely flopped myself. It seems like it's been a really slow week for roleplay. I don't know why that is, but
Yeah.
even Sibh'Bae, you had said he had something and it had very little turnout. So
Very odd week for roleplay.
yeah, I think Kishmas, didn't you say? I heard someone say Lilel had something as well just the day before, and she barely got enough
Yeah.
people to get it off the ground. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, I don't know why. It's just, I don't know if is it.
Then all of a sudden
Because
Friday
it's-
comes along and there's like 20 people.
Well, it's
online.
also, we're still dealing with
Yeah.
the new content just came out. People are doing that. Plus, there's a
Also-
lot of other stuff out
Is
there. And it's
kids
summer.
getting off school around?
Yeah,
I know
I was
ours
gonna
did
say-
a
yeah.
week ago. So is
A lot of people got off last week for school.
okay? So maybe
So
they're all
Yeah.
they could be going on vacations. and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
vacations, heading home if they were in college. You know, they graduated, and at the end of the month, you have to move out.
or
So
else.
they've all been, because you don't have a place to live after that. So, you know, a lot of college students that last week in May are just psychotically trying to find a place to live and moving in and moving out. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think we'll see a lot of people kind of wandering back usually until, and I've done this every year. We have this slow time right about now.
I think we've had an episode on
Yes.
not this
Yeah, but-
slow time, but
Yeah,
the
the
rest
other
of
one.
the slow time.
holidays, and this is the other time during this, just before summer hits, when everything slows down. Everyone's like, the guild is dying. No, it's
Yeah.
the last
Just
week
a
of May,
pattern.
the first week of June. Does this every single year. Everybody breathe.
Doesn't make it suck any less. I had a really good
No.
story.
Yeah,
Really
it's
bummed.
hard. Yeah. Well,
I
you
just
can
had
go
to
through it.
Consolidate myself with saving Hyrule still.
There you go.
I was actually very fine with that. So, yeah, that's, for me, I'll just go ahead since I spoke up.
Brain fart.
Yeah, that was on Wednesday, so I didn't do that. And I really haven't been in much since then. I've just been playing Zelda. I really didn't have a whole lot this week. I did a story, I guess. I wrote a story for Tarvala visiting her family.
I
and
read
stuff
that.
like
It was
that.
really good. I like that.
Yeah, but that's probably the most of it outside of, the ordination training on. Oh wait, I did do that, didn't I? Yeah, I did do that. Did a
corridor thing.
Yeah, I did ordination training on Monday for basically corridor training and breaching through.
Oh, I was there for that. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it went pretty well, I thought. Trying to get people to push forward instead of staying where they were. It's like, you guys need to physically move. It's okay to go forward.
I always hated people who don't participate, even
Yeah.
though we're like, yeah, do it. You guys got to do this. Go and free emote. And then everyone's just like,
Pix nose. Yeah. It's like I just shouted breach. That means like I think
Move,
but
yeah.
part of it is I don't think it was I think sometimes they get, it's a military thing, and those in the front lines, they're not, two of them were newbies kind of. So I think they were intimidated a little to step forward, like be the first one to like move it forward. So we'll have to
I'll never get that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's the best I can come up with. Which makes sense. Some of them get timid. They were facing off against you three high ordinators.
Yeah, those
it can
were...
be a little intimidating to stare down the barrel of 3 or 4 of.
And
however
they
many
didn't
were.
really
if
cover
it's,
what
if it's
the
rolling, then
recruits-
they shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah, I just meant visually. In their heads, you guys are built up pretty. It goes with the authority thing that we're talking about. Authority-wise, kind of intimidating to see a row of silver like that, especially when they can. Like, get down and give me push-ups, or, whatever.
Silver hats are scary.
Lick my boots.
Here.
Lick my boobs.
Oh, baby.
Oh, no, I said boots.
I know.
I
but
heard
that's
it
what I
differently.
said.
So, yeah, that's what I did on Monday. I ran that event. It went well. It was a lot of fun, and had one guy what's the metal guy? Nazzle?
Navel.
Nazzle.
There is no Z in that name.
I don't know. I couldn't remember. I can't. But I swear to God, I've never seen luck like that, guys. If he doesn't roll a 1...
Never rolls good.
No, I don't think he always seems to roll, and I've never seen anyone roll so many ones.
Multiples.
Yeah.
He rolls multiples all the time.
Yeah.
Like during a couple sparrings months ago, he'd roll 7, then 7, then 7.
Yeah.
Then 7.
He rolled 2 1s in a row.
I remember
Yeah.
him and another ordinaire were sparring, and they kept rolling the same numbers.
Yeah. I know. I heard he's thinking of making another character. I think he's just doing that just so that he could try and see if it's bound to that character, or if maybe someone else
It's
will have
bound to
better
him.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't. The poor guy, and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna paralyze myself again. It's like, no, I don't play you're
he
so
only beats-
incompetent
he only
you
beats
hate
them.
yourself. Yeah.
He only beats up paralyzed prisoners.
Right.
You have a counter.
Oh, that's right. He did do that.
Days
Didn't
since last incident. 30.
he?
Tonight.
Well, the way he rolls, he has to get his licks in while he can. Poor bastard.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I did. Well, since you're talking Kishmas, what'd you do this week?
Pretty much nothing, aside from a few like fishing trips I've had with Nathala privately. Her pregnancy going on, developing. I mean, well, go that far. I mean, we're not even in that episode yet. Listen, I'm not ashamed, all right? I have no shame.
All we're saying
I
is
know.
nah, I'm not gonna say it because it's a bad joke.
But
If it was funny, I'd say it.
It
But
was
it's not funny.
It was a slow week. So
Yeah, it really was.
Raj did his commander things, yelling at people. So not yelling at people, just talking sternly towards them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much that. So, Sib, what about you?
I've got nothing.
What? You're so lazy. What have you been doing? Real life stuff? Loser.
Yeah, I've been going to baseball games.
Oh,
every
look at
night.
me, I'm a jock.
I think last night was the last night, or the only night I didn't have a baseball game. And I was beat from sitting out in the heat and fighting mosquitoes and watching baseball. So I went to bed.
Yeah, the mosquitoes here actually could live out of like Fearot or down in the Black Marsh. They are massive. It takes
they don't make annoying buzzing sounds. They literally say buzz.
Yeah, they're just like buzz, buzz, buzz. What are you looking at?
But no, that's about the extent of my life. I'm actually hoping to be able to play tonight and tomorrow. At least a little bit. Maybe get a story for next week.
Maybe.
One story. I got one story. No, but that's mine in a nutshell.
Wow, completely worthless.
I know. I feel like I should be kicked off the show at this point in time.
No, you're not that lucky.
Oh.
No, you still got to work here for free. What about you, Mr. Faye?
I interviewed for the call screener job and I got denied.
Yeah,
that's how bad I am.
Turned out, no.
Ouch.
That's all I had. No. Just no. So what's up, Strafay? What'd you have this week?
Like you guys said, it was a slow week. I did the poetry night Tuesday night. And I mean, I wasn't feeling like doing it in the first place. I was like, dude, I should just not do this, play Star Wars Battlefront 2 and go to bed early. And I was like, no, I'll just do it. Got in there. Only 5 people turned out. Wasn't even the good regulars. It was the off-alt regulars. I did a funny poem for Soldrini because she was there, which made her grin.
Yeah,
it was part of Trash Pass, and I don't think anybody realized it was kind of funny. But, the other guys were doing stand-up comedy, and, it was what it was. We got an epic tale from Sejoris, which is always fun. And, it was pretty lackluster, and I just did not feel like sticking around the rest of the week, and I didn't. I was just slammed.
Yeah.
But the poetry night went on. It wasn't great, but it was there.
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually... I think maybe one time I've seen somebody try stand-up role-play comedy. That is something that you really, really have to be
you have to be
funny
good at,
especially to write it down. Because like in an actual stand-up, there's just so many things going on. Aside from the writing, you have to be funny, delivery and timing, and
you can definitely, make the characters laugh or make people laugh. But the characters themselves, might not laugh.
Yeah.
Like they could be all in parentheses going, lol, this is hilarious, and their characters just like, that's pretty lame.
I'll tell you how it went. The guy started off saying, I just flew in from Wayrest, and boy, am my arms tired. I was like, oh, Lord. This is happening. This is
the
freaking
best
happening.
of 1960s Las Vegas there.
Uh-huh.
I'll be here all week. Try the veal. Be sure to tip your waitress.
In fact, I think that got said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think he said that.
Oh my goodness!
It was terror bad.
Nice.
I was looking at talking to Jazz, and I was like, "This is terror bad."
See,
man.
there's
At least he tried.
He tried, but there's
that.
There is no try. There is do or do not.
And that was a do not. Yeah, don't do those jokes. That's shoot. Even going up there and doing dad jokes or something would probably have been. Yeah, but you really had to think you'd have to write that. I mean, you'd have to be a really good and funny writer because, like, I read, 240 character Twitter posts that just they're fucking hilarious, but you also have to really, really bring your A game to that shit to make people laugh
Whenever
in an
I think
MMO.
of someone trying to RP like stand-up comedy, I'm just like, so basically you're playing as Seinfeld.
Yeah. What's the deal with Guarline food?
Like,
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Exactly.
What's up with that?
Oh, high-pitched screeching. Oh. As we make fun of the multimillionaire.
I mean,
I'm not gonna. You did something right, for a while.
I guess I did take Zashel to the guild hall wearing only pants. That was fun. But that was really the highlight of my week, which was kind of sad.
That is
actually, no.
That is
highlight
a
of
very
your
low
week?
bar.
I did have like a little joke event on Thursday.
Yeah, didn't you have something
It
like
was-
midnight?
Yeah, it was called Daddy's Midnight Spear. It was spear training.
Oh my
It was
God.
filled with innuendos.
Just double entendres.
You don't say.
Yeah. Ah.
It was very good.
Jazz, I'm sad. Highlight of your week was not that little nice jingle to make you grin.
No, it was. I was just being a troll.
The truth comes out.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop it.
But all right. Well, real quick too, if you actually want to talk to us, give us your input on playing a character of authority, either. Excuse me, as I burp right into the microphone, like a professional
Nice.
would.
Classy.
If we're going to be talking about authority, and it's going to be both kinds, OOC and in-character authority, and the characters that have them, how you get it done. If you got something you might want to say, feel free to give us a call. Join us on our Twitch at rpmmmoradio.com/discord. I meant Discord. You can actually go to the caller waiting room where Ron R, our car screener, will be waiting for you, and he'll make sure everything's set up right on your end. And toss you into ours, or let us know what you're going to say, and we'll pull you down. So, all right. So with that, we'll go ahead.
pull you down or put you down.
Probably both. Speaking of putting things down, Sib, I'm going to want to see you after the show.
Do I bring my box?
You don't
with my
even need to
stuff?
bring the box. Just bring the large tarp next to my door.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're about to get downgraded. I'm going to tell you, the office sucks. Just be ready.
It is the finest in 1975 wood paneling. It is breathtaking. I love my office. What? All right. So with that, let's go ahead and go to the sponsor for this episode. Special sponsor, militaristic somewhat.
Are you looking to better serve your country? Does your faith in the Three drive you to serve the greater good of you and the people of Morrowind? Then you should join the Ordination of the Tribunal. The proud men and women in gold keeping peace and tranquility across the land. The select few that keep the heresy of the Outlanders at bay so that the light of the living gods might shine down upon us and smite our enemies. In the Ordination, you will be among your brothers and sisters, not only in combat and duty, but under the divine light of Elm Civi. Go to your local recruiting station today and sign up, after which you will be provided with training and lifelong servitude to your brothers and sisters, your country, and your gods. Be one of the few, the proud, the Ordination. Join us today.
Oh, that was very uplifting. Very, very uplifting. I'm going to have to share that one. So, join the Ordination. Get authority. Get not authority. Beat up people. Legalize racism. It's always a good one.
Get punched in the face if you recruit. Just saying, it's good for all.
Yeah, only if you've got a
No.
smart mouth.
Do pilgrimages on their knees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, they don't tell you about those parts of the recruitment video.
I don't know what you're talking
To
about.
be all that you can be in the Ordination Army.
Reserve.
Reserve.
It's sad how programmed we are to those things.
It is.
They probably haven't aired that thing in like 15 years, and it's still.
I love the old 80s, 90s like, promo
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, they had some good ones. Nowadays, they're all like directed by Steven Spielberg. And no, it
running
wasn't.
towards that sandstorm. Dun, 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 dun.
It wasn't an excuse just to use a sound filter, Rohanar. I just had the idea and thought it would be funny. I'll be honest, part of it was inspired by, what was it, Solo when the Empire did their recruiting video. And also all the stuff with Fallout recently.
And also inspired by me.
Nope.
I need a cricket sounder. Glad I'm not the only one that was like, huh? You know, it's a good thing you're pretty. Your hair sure does look nice today.
Oh.
Shame.
I'm not giving you my bell sound.
See, you haven't downgraded my office yet. When you do, that will be within reach.
That's right. So, all right. So, authority. You know, obviously we all know what authority is. It's, you know, people that are authoritative.
Not authoritarian. That's a different subject.
That's right. That is slightly different. You will respect my authoritarian. See, it doesn't roll off the tongue. So one of the things we want to hit on is things about like exceeding jurisdiction, going out of your way to posse people around, going out of your way to boss people around, and stuffing your nose where it doesn't belong. This actually kind of works both in character and out of character.
Yep.
Exceeding your jurisdiction, that'd be like someone from EverQuest, Freeport, going out and outside near Kinos or some other town and be like, yeah, under the power of Luke Handelier, you're under arrest. Or the Ordination going to, I don't know, Riften. Under the power of Amcivi, you're under arrest. Or, you know. Or Somerset, under the power of the Morrowind, you're under arrest. You're surrounded. You realize you're actually surrounded by not
you're
you
in
guys.
My ocean, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or the
you're
clergy
on the wrong side of the globe, buddy.
Now, the Ordination versus divine persecution. That'd be a good battle.
That would be a good battle.
I seem to recall the clergy ordering around ordinators when they weren't supposed to.
Ooh,
as well. Front row seat to that.
Yeah. See,
Yep.
But
those are fighting words.
Come at me, bro. Come at me.
I have a staff.
In robes. So, clergy people, if you're listening, we're making
just
fun of you.
pay attention to the end of the show, not the gospel.
That's right. But yeah, you there's both, and it's both in character and out of character jurisdiction. Like it's the like we've seen in like Jez and stuff has said, you know, when a guild goes bad, like another guild goes bad, and you're like, all right, or a person or an individual, we're no longer as a guild role playing with this. But you, Jazz, as a guild leader, can't say, and nobody's allowed to role play with this person, or we'll kick you from the guild. I mean, you can say that. It just makes you a bad leader.
Yes, very bad.
You know, and you that's definitely exceeding your jurisdiction as an individual. You just can't do those kinds of things. Now, if you try to do that stuff in character, you end up getting what Jazz had, what that story she told the other week about what was that guy that's trying to get the werewolf chick and like arrest her under something or other.
Yeah, we had that situation there where he was claiming that he had the right through the Nords to arrest this werewolf person, any werewolf person, like blanket authority. And we're like, no, not really.
The vigilance of Stendar don't even exist yet.
Yeah.
Like, okay, buddy.
That's what he was trying to say he was, and there were a couple people that were trying to point out he was way, way out of time.
Way too early.
Yeah.
Boy, you hate
but I was the first one.
You hate when you hate to see a premature what? I was going to say jurisdiction, but you know. But it happens to the best of us, you know. Sometimes you just get a little riled up. Anyway, so going.
Should have told that guy go find his DeLorean and go up 2 eras because he's.
Yeah, I was gonna say
or early rather.
So and then going out of your way to boss people around. Anybody have any thoughts on that one?
Well, I think you get a lot of that anytime that you have a game like this that offers the idea that there are going to be certain individuals that have more power than others, like the Ordinators and stuff, or hunters. You're always going to have someone who says that they have the authority and will exert that authority even if they're outside of their jurisdiction because this is a game, it's not serious, and he's just having fun.
Yeah, I would say
see,
that.
hunters. I don't see hunters as an authoritative figure. Like,
Yes, but they see themselves.
You're right,
as one.
Kishmis. We don't.
They're not.
They're the only ones that do.
Oh, that's true. Never mind.
I actually don't disagree with you on that one, but unfortunately, the problem comes
these
in
guys
when they
that were
think
like,
they are.
They're hunters, therefore they have the right to arrest someone, therefore you're going to give it up for them, and they're immune to anybody attacking them because they're hunters and they're well-skilled, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it just kind of goes downhill from there.
You also have those officers in your guild who will exert authority that doesn't belong to them, but sometimes they've gotten away with it, so then they throw a royal fit when someone tells them no. I've seen that as well. It's not pretty.
That's far too common.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's just the norm.
It is. It is totally normal when you have officers, especially if you have people that you don't know really well who really just wanted to be an officer so that they could
boss people around.
Yeah. And the minute that they get power, you know that that's the kind of person they are. And
they always take it to the bad place, always take it too far, and then they want to blame everyone. Oh, you're setting them up to fail. Like, no, dude, you are being a douche nozzle, and you should stop and read the rules about your post.
Yeah, I actually like Insomniac. They said as a noble RPer, I tend to have to avoid as many stigmas as possible, and that's actually one I didn't think of as people too that played nobles and things like that. You definitely got to rein that in, because I've seen. The reason I think noble role players get such a bad rap is because so many of them, they just really, you're just write it in that, like, I'm noble. And the trick to that is also then putting in the time so that people around you will also acknowledge that and accept it, just as you do with any other in-character authority kind of figure. You've got to put the time and effort in there. If you don't do that, you're just some schmuck at a keyboard saying, I'm noble.
I think that is why Pallid Mortis worked so well in EQ2, because he wasn't just, I'm this, I mean, he would come out.
I'm the Lord Commander.
He came out as a Lord Commander. He'd do patrols as the Lord Commander. They did the effort and the work of establishing who they were. And he would always ask you, is this okay? When
that was the key. Most of the time, yeah.
And sometimes you don't need to even tell people you're noble. You just act that way.
Yeah, and they'll know.
And people will just start calling you, like, Lord Trithalis. Trithalis has no Lord title. Everything's been stripped from him, but he acts like the fallen noble he is, and people just treat him like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to keep I mean, you got to act the part. You can't just go in and expect.
But I think that's really true, though, for people that are like, I'm 5,000 years old, but I'm going to throw a temper tantrum because I didn't get my way. And you're like, yeah, you're 12.
Jazz. I'm a 5,000-year-old vampire. What's a blowjob? I am
Our purple Wookiee, banish it now, Jazz.
I am innocent of the ways of the flesh.
I am a 5,000-year-old. We actually had someone that was a 5,000-year-old virgin vampire who had no idea what sex was.
Funny enough, also played by Steve Carell, the 5,000-year-old virgin.
So yeah, I've seen just about everything at least once. But I stress to people that if you want to be a person in authority, if you want to be a noble, if you want to be this old guy that knows a lot, you want to be a guard, you want people to take you seriously, you have to be out there walking in a circle. You have to be out there acting like that noble, even when you're not saying you're a noble. If you want people to believe you, you have to put in the work to be believed.
You gotta walk the walk and talk the talk. If somebody snubs at you, you got to be like, you really do have to be like, yes, that's very entertaining. Yes, you can't instead be like,
respect me.
We did that at the same time. That was fantastic.
You owe me Coke.
That's 2 Coke she owes you now.
Yeah, it is.
But say somebody owes somebody a Coca-Cola.
Oh, Coca-Cola. That's what I was thinking too.
They're so bad.
So, all right. Well, let's see here. And the other thing before we get to our caller on the line here, stuffing your nose where it don't belong. Anybody?
Well, that's just common sense. I mean, you see that all the time, particularly like in Rift and particularly in this game. I've come across that a lot because you have people, I mean, there's two situations, and they're both kind of the same thing. You have people who want you to stick your nose in. So they start telling you they start talking about all this stuff that they want you to go, but why is that? Why? Did something happen? Are you okay? And they want you to stick your nose in. And then the minute that you do, why don't you mind your own business? That doesn't
that's a douchebag.
Yeah,
move.
so it's at this point whenever somebody's like, oh, I had such a hard day today, pregnant pause. And I usually was just like, I'll have a mead.
Yeah.
A mead.
You know, I don't even respond to people
Your
doing
problems
that.
are very interesting to me. Could you actually reach behind you and hand me that bottle of wine? All right, thanks. See you later.
Or your chief medical officer running around trying to flex on people and find out their current status because they didn't come by for their crap and they want to know what's up with you. And yeah, seen that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be careful. If you want to be nosy, you have to be careful because if you're told out of character, you can't take it in game.
Yeah.
You have
don't
to
know that. You don't know that, and you can't act like you do. Yeah.
That, my friends, is metagaming.
Yeah, you have to realize if they tell you out of game, like through Discord or through whispers even, unless you're told in game, you can't know that.
Always reminds me of REO Speedwagon. Heard it from a friend who.
Yeah.
From a friend who. Heard it from an officer you've been messing around.
That's right.
How did you learn that? I read the forums.
From a friend who heard it from a friend who.
You know those forums are OC? Yeah, they're totally
That's
OC.
a major way to cause trouble.
We've all seen it.
Yeah, it does happen. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to our call lines and meet up with Insomniac. How's it going, Insomniac?
Woo-hoo! Welcome.
Good.
Hello. So you got noble role players, huh?
Insomniac.
Those people.
Yeah, like I have dealt with multiple tropes regarding this and had to avoid them as much as possible to try and find some quality. Anyhow, one thing that I like to note is that as a noble, you have no authority outside of your holdings. Like you can't just go to some other noble's court, not even if you're a higher rank, and just you know,
just like poo all over.
I mean, you
and
could,
stuff
but
like that.
you could just get killed.
Yeah. Yeah, like, yeah, you can, but, you know, that'd be like, one cop going from New York going down to the LA station and being like, hey, I'm in charge now. That's not going to work. Yeah, that doesn't do you any good.
But I played Beverly Hills Cop song. I should have the authority, right?
But what about Nakatomi Plaza?
Well, I know in Silver Circle we had to deal with that. We'd have people who were noble of noble descent or whatever would come in and expect Valkyrina to give them respect and to say like, well, you know, I can't be a recruit because I'm a noble. I mean, I can't do that. And Valkyrina would say, that's nice, but the floor still needs mopping, so get busy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't understand. I am a noble. So am I. Get busy.
Yeah, we've had a few of those in the servants. I think usually they know what they're getting into beforehand, but even it's still like they grumble and stuff about it when a noble becomes an ordinator kind of a thing. Isn't that right, Straffe?
My guy's an escaped noble, and your guys are treating him like a noble, and he's just like, all right, well,
yeah, I know.
Smoke me just because of my last name.
Noble.
Yeah.
Everybody hates nobles in there. I found
they really do. They really, really do.
And all he does is act like a witty bandit, which is funny because he doesn't act like a noble.
Yeah, so
they hate him just as much.
They do.
So let me ask you, Insomniac, why is it that you like playing the nobles? Just out of curiosity.
Well, this is pretty interesting. Like, honestly, my character originally wasn't going to be noble. Like, originally she was just a normal individual, but then I started developing her family even more and more. I was just like, hey, this might actually be fun to try out. So I did it, and I've been making like and one thing that I did enjoy was that you can find a way to create community events with your noble status. It like to better, you know, to add more RP to the cassette community, because I'm in the Hammerfell community, and we're over in Hammerfell. Let's say we don't have as many guilds as say Morrowind.
Right.
Whoops.
Oh, we lose you.
Nope, I'm good.
There we go.
Can I ask? I just am curious. Hammerfell is what race is your character? Just out of curiosity.
The homeland of the Red Guards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Though they're not like the Bredons where they have a full-on feudal system, because let's just say that feudal systems in RP can cause a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But
they have.
And some races, you don't really, you have to. Some races there aren't nobles. They're
like
that's why I was curious about it.
Not a lot of orc nobles, you're saying?
But my immersion.
Not a lot of orc nobility.
Bosmer nobles.
My immersion.
Right.
I'm pretty sure all the noble orcs keep getting killed by Bretons and Red Guards for having noble orcs.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
do
I see orcs getting more power. Let's see Jorsinium again.
That's right.
But yeah.
So if you're
regarding
doing that,
Hammerfell,
it's a lot more into. You're all right. So in playing a noble and stuff, you got to be more into like the political intrigue kind of role play and things like that, like in character, in fighting, and power gaming, and not power gaming, but like power grabs in character and things like that. Correct. Power play.
Well, it's not required. It's just that lots of role players tend to go for the more intrigue route, because let's just say, yes, my character has a bit of a double life. Like she's low key a thief, but then that always conflicts with her public status, because she has to keep it on the down low, or she'd be ruined.
Right. Yeah. So you got a nice dynamic of that kind of going on too. See, and that's but like you were saying too, with playing a noble, there's a lot of pitfalls there, because so many role players, and I'm sure if you've been doing it for a while now, you've seen some of the nobles, they can just it goes to their head, and it's like they just really start to act the part. It's like, whoa, you need to you don't actually have any authority over other characters, only really your own. And
stop being such a dick.
So what he's saying is he's really Selena Kyle and Hammerfell.
That's right. Yeah, he's Catwoman.
But one thing that I have also noticed that, and how you can probably get better traction if you are RPing a noble, is connecting with existing houses and nobles, and just like putting yourself out there instead of simply just walking in and saying, yeah, I'm a noble, with no story to your family, no fleshing out at all. And if their only purpose is to be a noble, then that's when, like, their only purpose and only personality aspect is that the fact they're a noble, then that can be quite problematic with RP, and can mix with the current subject of authority, because,
that's
as far as Red Guard, it's like a noob coming in and going, I'm part of the crown. It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. Well, and
but my immersion, it's like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Play the part.
Your only character concept is of that of being in authority, then that's not a, whether it be noble, a guard, or an ordinator, or whatever it might be, that's not a concept you can build an entire character off of, because it's really two-dimensional, and it gets there's only in character, there's only so far you can, you can't become Lord of Vex City or anything, like, you're not going that high. It's like, yeah, I roll over all of Hammerfell. That's my area now. It's all mine. No, because nobody's going to buy into that. So if that's all you got,
safe thing to do,
can't do it.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. Go ahead.
The safe thing to do is if you somehow have a noble that kind of lives in a civilization, kind of has their own thing going on. Mm-hmm. Like you can the Elder Scrolls world is larger than you think.
Oh yeah.
And you can easily fit in like a small holding, like a castle or whatever, in there without any issues. But and make that just like your holdings Iceli, obviously. But of course you can't just go into like Sentinel and be like, yeah, I'm the king now.
Yeah, I'm king.
Look at me. Look at me. I am the king now.
That's right. Yeah, you can't do that, even if you're.
I think that's one of the best parts of Homestead, is just that.
Yeah.
Have a holding, have a castle, and no one's gonna be like, no, you don't. You're an idiot.
Yeah, like how
used
many
to.
people, both guilds I'm in, they both use the Ebonheart Chateau, but it's not the same thing for both of them. It's totally different things, and that's one of the great things about how, especially big housing like ESO has, and how EverQuest 2 had and a couple others have it as well, is it lets you play out that. And just like you said, Insomniac, Elder Scrolls especially, the world itself is far, far larger than what we actually get in the game, obviously. They had to severely condense that. I mean, the space of Vardenfell alone in the original game, even back from, what is that now, 15 years ago or whatever,
I think so.
is several times bigger than what we got in the tiny expansion out in the actual game,
If you want to see the size of the Elder Scrolls world, I recommend playing Daggerfall, because that is basically the size.
Yeah, and and you play Skyrim, and it takes you how long to travel from one side of that to the other, It's ridiculously huge.
Oblivion and Morrowind, same deal.
Yeah,
you're in a whole province, and it's huge.
Yeah, exactly. So
Marine is just the whole map.
I agree with Somniac. I mean, literally, Trath got his father's house back, got accepted back. He's got his name clean. He didn't get his title back. But I keep hosting that poetry deal there, and people show up, and they started calling me Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Trath isn't a Lord. That all went away when his father and everybody was shamed. But
he doesn't correct
doing it. Yeah, he's not publicizing that. You keep doing that, you keep acting regal, people are going to start calling you that and assuming you are that, as opposed to just claiming it.
Yeah, because you've never insisted once that people call you that. Like, you've called my character Lord Next every time, and he's definitely no Lord in any way, shape, or form. But, unlike with Xanis, I just don't fight. He's just, he just shrugs it off and moves on with his day. So before we let you go, Insomniac, you got any things to finish out?
Oh, okay. So also on the Lord thing.
Yeah.
My character's almost the exact opposite of everything. She doesn't even act that publicly regal unless she has to go to a freaking court. So it's just hilarious. Just like, hey, yes, call me lady, but you don't have to call me lady. Okay, just leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's and that can get you pretty far too. But and that can open some doors, and it might close a few others as well. But most people that's pretty chill. That's cool. But
anyways, thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate you calling in, Insomniac. And hope
you're the best.
Really good points.
Yeah, thank you for calling in. So, all right, very good points. And nobility and jurisdiction and things like that is definitely something that comes about as well. Excuse me. Hiccups.
Really?
I was about to hiccup, and then I did not hiccup. There was a lack of hicking and upping.
Just burping in the mic.
Better in the other end. So, in-character authority and out-of-character authority, trying to keep them separate, and the allowances a guild leader or an officer has out-of-character, and compared to that of what they have, in character. Ugh, there we go. Finally hiccuped. Or burped. I don't know what it was. You're welcome. So, yeah, that one can be tricky, because it for one, it's going to change guild to guild. Every guild does their structures a little differently, Seems to me most of the good ones, they tend to have a strong head and a very well-rounded body. Not to be really weird about it, but you know what I mean. There's you have to if a guild leader isn't strong and very active to help keep everything in line, and there's not a lot of officers they can trust, it tends to go badly, and that's where things of authority start to really unwind. Either they'll just completely unwind and it's just utter chaos, or they'll clamp down so hard that it's like Nazi Germany. Or it's just does not work well.
I've seen situations where the guild leader at top exceeds their authority, and people will freaking leave. Like, they'll just check out.
Yeah,
they are like the masters of their own destruction, and they one little thing didn't get their way, complete flip out. People were like, dude, we're not hanging around for this.
Exactly. Yeah,
I've seen officers leave that person, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and it can go so, and it can happen so very, very quickly, especially out of character. Like I said, if the out of character, they start trying to tell you what to do, and they're not being helpful, but they're just being commanding. Like, no, you can't do this. You can't role play with that person. You can't do this. Or, one thing too, like in character, if things, and I know Jazz, we had so many problems with the Silver Circle over time that by the end of it, there were so many things that we had to lock down. It almost kept things from happening anymore,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
because we had so many people that were abusing the ability to use the roleplay tools that we had provided, that it wasn't any fun.
Yeah.
And I was really kind of, I don't know, disheartened by the fact that every time that we let up on the reins and we're like, okay, let's try this again. And it always,
inevitably
always ended badly. And it was like, oh, right, I remember why we stopped doing that.
Yeah, and then on the opposite side, we had to crack down so hard at times that it stifled stuff as well.
Oh, yeah, it did.
And it was, part of it was, personally, I think part of it was just because you didn't kick the people when I told you to. Like, yeah, you don't need that person around anymore. Yeah, you can get rid of him. Especially that Sibh'Bae guy. Yeah, he's no good. He's just bad business.
More pilgrims.
I'll have you know, sir, I was her most loyal officer. Even at the end of all things, I was the last one standing.
Not the way I see it.
And I may or may not have set fire to the guild hall. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. You may or may not have. Can't prove it.
Last comic stand.
But yeah, that's separating those out. And you have to remember too, when you're an officer, people they do look up to you. They're the rest of the guild. There's some people are actually. I know it's role play. We get that, but it is intimidating. It can be. So it's something. It's easy once, especially if you're an officer for a while. It's something you can easily forget that. For new players, that it's a little. You can be a little daunting being called down or dressed down by somebody of an authority in the guild, because if your people aren't being fair, for example, then what are they going to do other than leaving? That's really their only option, which is not something you ever want to lock your players into.
Another good little thing was people who would try to ascend as quick as they could in the guild, and they were kind of obnoxious about it. Jazz would assign them to Ringots. Ringots would give them tasks, and they hated it because I'd give them this extra long quest, and Ringots didn't take any crap, as you remember. And they would leave or ask for a transfer, or they just wouldn't make it. But if they did make it, they would learn and actually become a better player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, ambition. When ambition gets a little too wild.
Yeah.
I've had to deal with that, and I really don't. It's become a pet peeve of mine. Like, yes, I like ambition. Do your own thing. If you are, raise yourself in the ranks, go ahead.
Yep.
But
and it's always funny. They try to seduce you to curtain climb higher, and when it doesn't work, boy, they get mad.
Luckily, I've never had to be seduced.
Sure you haven't, bro.
Oh, no, I haven't. I think once, and I was like an initiate, like way back, like 2016. And I was like, no, thank you.
Ew.
Yeah, you get a pass for that one.
Okay. So, moving on to it, and when posing as an authority, man, that is a tough word. It's a really hard word. There's a lot of syllables and vowels, consonants. Difficult. So when posing as an authority, it's important to be both respectful to the people around you that don't want to contribute or participate, while still maintaining immersion for those that do. And that is a very difficult balance. So how do we go about keeping that, those that sort of participate now and again, and those that are like first in line every single time?
Well, in Silver, we rewarded people who were go-getters, who showed up to the trainings, who took part. Now, there were always people who either had other alts in other guilds, or who were in the military and had to have long absences. So we didn't penalize people, but at the same time, people that participated regularly obviously are going to advance faster than people who don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never really saw the problem of that because to me, that just made sense. I had people who were like, but it's not fair that, my character is this, I see, and they're not advancing because I can't play.
Yeah.
Well, just because your eye see that and you didn't put in the time doesn't mean you get rewarded for nothing over the hard worker, right?
Yeah. And that's a really hard thing because I do feel bad when someone is a single parent and is trying to do the best that they can and they can't play very often. And I totally get that. But at the same time, I'm not going to penalize somebody who is here and helping in the guild all the time simply because, you're a single parent and you have 2 jobs, and that's great. And I totally understand why that's annoying, but I'm not going to...
Well, and even if you raised him to an officer, that doesn't change, and you need officers that can be there.
And that is the sad truth when it comes to officers in a guild is the people, and I would always ask that question, how much time do you have? Because even though, yes, your character did all the work, if you're only here 3 times a month, I can't have you as an officer. And they would get really upset at that. They're like, that's not fair. Well,
no, it's not.
Being an officer is
but...
being an officer is both OOC and IC. It's one of the only administrative jobs in the guild that requires an OOC commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand that, like with mine, with Zasher.
Just call him Zaz. I love that nickname.
Zaz. That he doesn't, I have a guild to lead, so I can't be there very often. I don't expect him to advance very fast, and I don't really care if he does or not. So I'm okay with that.
Right.
We're going to make them.
Well, and like anything, Kishmas, like the officers and servants, you guys, you have to do all sorts of talking. Obviously you do all your in-character stuff, but how, how much OOC stuff goes on? You've got like an OOC voice meeting like once a week, and that's just the voice thing. And sometimes it's more than that.
We talk about shit every day.
Yeah, but when it comes to stuff,
day.
Everything that comes up, it's 7 days a week. You guys, have something that you have to talk about or make sure everything's okay with, or this or that, or put out a brush fire here or there. Trying to keep these.
That's part of a problem for me, because as much as I want to do, if I take like a day break, I'm afraid that I'm going to miss something very important and I'm going to be left out of it. That's the problem I'm facing right now as an officer of the guild.
Yeah.
And that's a hard place to be, because,
it is.
That was where I was a guild leader, but I started school. And I told myself, because I hadn't been in school since I was in my 20s, and I was like, I can do this. This will be fine. And like 3 weeks into it, I was like, okay, guys, I'm not going to close the guild, but I'm not going to be here. I'm sorry. So I put my officers in charge, and I had to take a step back because I had to take care of school.
Yeah.
And, I knew my guild was not going to last.
See, it's funny, because she went to school, and then I finally got out of grad school, and I started playing. I was like the only Silver Circle dude on for a while, and I would, help people if they asked. And I made sure it was cool with her.
Yeah.
You were great. You were absolutely great. I was really pleased there was at least someone there that could help and participate. Yeah.
And that's part of having, strong authority around you and people that you can trust,
Even when you have that authority, right, and you've built up Roleplay and it's burned down around you, sometimes it's kind of nice to step back, play that nobody role like my wannabe recruit and servants. I don't have to think about that. I can have fun.
Yeah, you don't.
And I can hang out with Jazz's tune that's not going to be advancing quickly either. And look, I can just role play. I don't have to worry about people not wanting to show up. It's fun. It's refreshing almost. So sometimes it's good to take a back seat for a while.
Yeah, because you're not going to, all the trials and stuff that guy's eventually going to have to go through.
Yep.
You just, you'll plan them out with the person, scheduling wise, but you'll just show up and you just participate.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
The officers are in charge of making sure people, rank up and do things like that in like every guild, basically.
Yeah. And that's
so
why
sometimes, go ahead, Sibby, sorry.
I was going to say, that's why I don't ever try to get authority in any guild. just for the fact that I have real life stuff that always keeps me busy with 2 kids.
Yeah.
So I just don't have time to do stuff like that. And I would rather not. I'd rather have fun doing the RP stuff instead of having to worry about stuff like Kishmas does.
Yeah.
I want to just RP and have fun. I don't want to have to worry about everything else. So that's why I will very seldom try to get in a position of authority or power. I'm perfectly fine with just being an ordinator, or if I make it to acolyte, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't want to go any further. I was actually debating whether I just want to stay a novice. But it's
Heck, I don't think Kishmas wanted to be commander, just kind of fell in his lap.
yeah, that's true. But
I was literally on my way out.
Yeah.
It's
See you guys later. What's this? What's promotion?
To be able to do that, people who have time are able to invest in it. 'Cause I know I don't.
Yeah. Well, and they also have to. It takes a certain mentality and
Personality too.
yeah. And and even at that, you still I've been doing it forever, and I still gut check myself all the time, and I'll ask other people, hey, am I out of line? Or is this, and it's like everyone's
You're always out of line.
Well, true. But am I out of line? Am I thinking of, what this person is doing? Does this seem,
Yeah.
Does this seem dubious, or am I seeing this the way I think I'm seeing this, or am I just projecting, something else on top of it that's not actually there? And I mean, most of the 99.9% of the time, I'm absolutely right. Of course. I mean,
of course,
obviously.
Of course.
So the other one is that comes with authority is how easy it can be to start bullying people when you pose as an authority figure. I am English, good, bad, or perhaps it's better to say that some will feel bullied due to their past issues in games. Or with a
I think
story
that is an important thing to point out, is that people will react. If they've been bullied in their life, they're going to see it whether you're doing it or not.
How much hate mail did you get for your officer named Ringots, Jazzy?
Oh,
Just
God.
saying.
So much.
And I'll admit, I did, but I mean, I was playing, he was a nasty dude, and I just played him. I wasn't trying to be malicious, but people did not like taking crap from Ren at all. I mean, they'd go to Jazz all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and and there's like with the ordination, part of it is it's a militaristic thing with the ordinators. So when someone
Military junta.
Yeah, when somebody fucks up, just like you do in the actual military, if somebody does something stupid, you get dressed down. It's often in front of other people, or or if it's bad enough, they'll even be lashed and whipped. It
is really easy to cross that line, especially if that player is a derphead, because you yourself are like, and I know I've done it. I'm like, Jazz, this person's an idiot, and I don't care. And then I extra flex, and I had to check myself because that's real easy to cross that line.
Mm-hmm. And it can be, yeah.
With dirty rags.
Right, dirty rags and them stuffed in the mouth that somebody did.
Did you do that too?
I don't know, man.
But and there's the other thing too is if real life bully issues or real life issues with bullies and or authority figures abusing their power. How do you smooth feathers and calm nerves while still continuing a storyline? It's as fun for you as it is for those around you.
That's
bullying can be a tough one too, because sometimes what one person thinks of as bullying, that the bully itself was not intended. It was as an offhanded comment or a joke or something like that. That maybe somebody that has low self-esteem or just read it wrong, or like how it happens often with text, they read it in the wrong attitude.
Yep.
It doesn't come out the way you intended it to, or it does, but it's read a completely different way. Mm-hmm. That, especially when it comes from somebody of authority or an officer, that tends to happen more often than not,
It's real easy just to ask that officer, hey, did you mean this, or this? But instead of running above their head to see if you can, counter get them.
Yeah.
Just be an adult and communicate. And most of the time it'll iron itself right out.
Yeah. Like there was.
And there's also oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I had a situation the other day with a character that was giving somebody advice, and she like. I think you were there, Jazz. She just like waved her hand dismissively, and
oh yes,
I took that as that she was the initiate was dismissing the Yalif as like, well, what your concern's not important. She says that she was dismissing the argument, which to me really isn't much better of a difference, but still, I can see reading it again. I was like, okay, I could take that either way. I mean, I don't know if that was the intent of it or not. Doesn't really matter, but how. My character,
you kept it IC, and
right?
Your
but how my character takes it
is
how my character takes it, But and
then Regier comes along, and everyone's like, "Oh no, Commander, we're doing just fine." Authority.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and like, go ahead.
No one likes it when Regier's in their face.
No, that's the point.
No, I will vouch to that.
Yeah. Except
Let
for
me help you with
Tarvala.
those handcuffs. Oh, wait, I don't have the key. Smack your knee. Have a good day.
I think so far Tarvala is about the only one that still could get up in his grill as long as there's nobody else around. That's not his wife, which, God help him if he pisses her off. Why is your eye swollen, Kishmis? I tripped.
I fell out the stairs. Tried to hug my daughter.
And the fowls in the back car say, "You better say that sweet."
She beats him because she loves him.
And Raj secretly likes to hit me, mama.
That's right. Again.
Well, one of the things that I had to deal with in Silver Circle with one of my officers, which almost turned into a big giant mess, and I actually managed to dance my way out of that one. But we had an officer who was telling people that the way that they could the way that they could advance was through sexual favors.
Ooh.
/ ERP.
Wow.
Yeah, and I heard about it because I don't know, you're not, as a guild leader, you're not omnipotent. They think you are, but you're not. And of course, Vakarina had like spies everywhere. But if people didn't tell me what they were doing, Vakarina obviously wouldn't know, because I'm not actually omnipotent. It was just something that Vakarina did. I would have people send me tells or send me email or mails that would say, I did this in the guild hall in case Vaka wants to know. People are twisted.
Yeah, they basically just gave themselves up.
Right. They would give themselves up because they wanted Vaka to catch them.
Yeah.
But
there was also the ring guys reporting your desk weekly.
Like a guild kink of yours back then? I want you to catch me.
Yeah,
Catch me so hard.
But we got, my husband played the commander, and the commander, everybody was afraid. It was so funny because he's like this big bear of a guy, but he's not scary unless he's mad, and then apparently he scares some people. But I just think he's adorable. And he scared people. And I had a lady come to me and tell me, silly, that my husband had forced her to have ERP with him in order to be promoted.
Oh.
Now, I know my husband very well, and I know he would never do that, but there could have been a miscommunication. And so I went to my husband. I was like, okay, this is what she's saying. And he's like, blink, blink, what? No. And I'm like, okay, he says, I haven't done anything. So I went back to her and I said, you said Triton. And she's like, no, not him, the other one. So like, we only have one commander, my dear, so we're going to have to explain this. So it did turn out that he didn't see any problem with it. I had to explain to him that he's in a position of power, and that could be perceived as telling people, if you don't have ERP with me, I'll kick you out of the Guild of Osili. Now, in his defense, it never occurred to him. I don't know why, but it didn't. And we had to have a very long conversation about this. And it never happened again. And the girl stayed with us for another 2 years before she stopped playing the game. So I managed to take a very sticky situation and get everybody to understand this is a no-no. She had every right to be upset if that's exactly what was happening. And
Talk about sticky for sure.
yeah, and so I had to do a lot of fast talking because I tried to figure out what was exactly, and this was like on the...
Triton almost needed to change his last name from LaFay to Weinstein there, geez.
Yeah, he was upset. He was like, and he was like, I'm going to get from now on.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm never talking again to women.
I believe you, baby. I needed to make sure that she was talking about somebody else. And it turned out that he was telling her that he had more power than he did in order to impress her so that she would want to have a relationship with him. Never mind, it was cheating on my character. My other alt was his wife, and it really got interesting at that point because she didn't know, and I did, but I couldn't have her know, which she did never find out about that one. So it's important when you're in a position of power to remember that perceived power is almost more important to keep in mind than because you have no real power over these people. It's a digital game.
I love the looks on their faces when you brought them into your office, and Ren had already given you the scoop on them for a week, or somebody else did. The officers came together and said, "Hey, this is what's going on."
That was always
they thought they were being so sneaky, and you dressed them down. They're like, "How'd you know?" He's like, "I have eyes everywhere."
I have my ways.
Do you think?
And the thing is, in EQ2, I had people throughout the whole game, and this is twisted, but it's absolute God's honest truth. People would send me mails, in-game mails, IC to Vodka, and give her information on people in the guild, and people outside the guild, and then Vodka would send them money. And then she would figure out if it was true or not. Now, this was all completely IC, but before I could use it, I had to make sure it wasn't gained OOCly.
Right, yeah.
But, I often did not warn people until I had found out if it was one way or the other. And it's not hard. You just ask around. You can figure out if something's true or not. But I had people do that. So it did kind of make Vodka look omnipotent because she would find stuff out that people were doing. And like Rengots would go and he'd sit around and go, I hate that horrible bitch. She's just evil. And then they'd start talking to him about things they had done or were going to do. And then he would turn around and write a report and tell Vodka all about it. I mean, it's...
Pay no attention to his officer title, the Spy Master of Shadows.
Yeah,
I know. You'd think that would have clued him in before they said that.
Because when I came back to the ESO, Regier did that with Lilel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also, thank you, Lauren M91, for the follow and the cheering. Appreciate it. But yeah, so the other part of this, too, as it says here, the elephant in the room. How do you combat and deal with actual bullying issues in people that are abusing their power? Because we all know that it happens, and it happens more often. Maybe not more often than not, but not as often.
No, it happens
more often than it should. Far more often than it should. And when those leading must contend with the actual issues where people mishandle authority. And that's the tricky one with this is often it's other officers and the guild leaders that have to dress down their own. Mm-hmm. And that's where that one can get really, really tricky.
And it can leak into OOC very quickly.
Often it has to, because a lot of times that has to be dealt with out of character to tell the actual player, like, whoa, or if there's, in worst case scenarios, if something happens and then the stories and then it gets back and it blows up and then the stories come back and things don't match up. Now, obviously, the best way to deal with this is with screenshots. And chat logs, because that takes all the guesswork out of it, all the guesswork and hearsay out of it. And really that can turn something around very, very quickly, because then it shows line by line everything that happened and the progression of that.
And sadly, I had to stop using logs. Although I loved logs, I had to stop using them because too many people started altering them to make themselves look good. And I had to stop. And so I just started telling people, take screenshots. If you're in the middle of a situation, back it up, take screenshots, show it to me. I will believe you if it's a screenshot. Mm-hmm. So it really came down to that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've really got to be good on like the molecular level to be able to pull off doctoring those.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where that one comes in, you know, and it does happen. People are people. We're not, you know, I'm sure every single one of, I know Jazz, I know you've crossed a line. You know, if you're in your shitty mood, your kids are screaming and throwing French fries at your head or whatever, you know, I've done it. You know, I've made bad decisions, or, you know, in the heat of a moment, I've said something super shitty, which surprisingly I'm prone to do.
Or it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and you should be in bed.
Yeah,
yes,
Sib,
tired.
Yeah.
It's important to be able to admit when you screw up. And although I rarely had to do that with the general population, I did have to do that often with my officers, because our officers would be stressed and we would slap at each other, and then I would have to back up and say, look, I'm sorry, I overreacted to that. So
yeah, because we are all human, you know, everyone gets pissed off. We all have bad days. And yes, we should know better than to do it. And sometimes even when you do it, you're like, it's funny.
Wow, it's happening. You know it's wrong.
You know, and I'm like, you know, and then you come off like a pompous ass, like, listen, I understand myself well enough to know if I keep talking to you, you're going to have a lot of hurt feelings, and I'm going to feel bad about it later, so I need to stop right now. And then they're like, sometimes that does not help things either.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just say, something came up, I gotta go, we'll finish this later.
Oh, look, my grandma's on fire. I'll be right back, you know.
Yeah.
Still not wrong telling that dude OC how the cabbage
crashed.
It was bad for the guild. I do admit that, Jazz, but it's not wrong that I told him how the freaking cabbage. Just saying.
I know, but it did not help
how to count a cabbage?
Me.
Wait, what?
That sounded like it. What did you say? It sounded like something
how the
cabbage,
how things were, what the real deal was. That dude never learns until you get in his face. And I did. I was the only officer that had balls to do it after he had hurt our fearless leader over there.
Oh, okay.
He logged out, and I let him have it. So get in chat. I read him the right act. I got in trouble for it. I didn't care. I was like, look, dude.
Yeah, well, you
You're
know,
a douche
as long as you
nozzle.
understand that.
You know what you did. Crack your face, crack your couch. Get a clue. Another officer silently applauded me, and I got in trouble. But hey, sometimes it's worth getting in trouble to put that freaking bully back in his place.
Yes.
I've learned over the past year and a half that I've been an officer that I've come from being, you know, very cautious and, you know, shy about confrontations to full-fledged, I don't give a fuck what you think, I'm going to tell you how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Dangerous road, but, you know,
yeah, but
I've got to do it because if my point doesn't get across, then people won't understand.
Is that in character or out of character, though? Or is it both?
It's both.
Both?
No, Raj is more like, you know, do this or die.
In your face, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In your face.
Sometimes you have to take it. Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
I don't like conflict. I think conflict is dumb, and I just want to relax. But when people interrupt my relax time, I get very, very annoyed.
Sometimes you have to take an OC to put those bullies down because they're getting away with it for so long, and no one wants to tell them the deal. It's like, no, dude, stop.
And that is a hard line to walk as a guild leader, because your job is to keep the peace. And if you push too hard in one direction or another, you lose people who then go and create drama outside your guild where you have no control over the situation. And it can blossom into a giant mess, which I learned the hard way. And I became a lot more cautious about Scorched Earth after that happened to me. And then eventually, I believe it was a combination of advice from Mr. Ashen and Mr. Strafe that I was being I was walking on eggshells all the time, trying not to upset people.
I've been upgraded.
Yep.
Yeah, usually she just calls me bastard.
There are times.
Yeah, sometimes you have to just get mad and be like, dude, this is wrong and you need to stop. You're being a douche nozzle, like he said. I like twat waffle myself.
So proud of you, Jazz. I'm glad you used that word.
The one, douche canoe.
Douche canoe. Yeah, that was Gina's. I use that in honor of her from time to time. But when you are a guild, it's a little different when you're a guild leader because you have to take into consideration the blowback as well as
and sometimes you just have to be ready for it because there's no there's like you said with Scorched Earth is always a last ditch effort, but there's times where like
sometimes it's the only thing that's going to do it.
Nuke it from orbit.
See, I'm always calm about it at first, but in my head I'm like Scorched Earth inside my head. Like I just want to be like, you're a fucking idiot, fuck you, you know.
Yeah.
I can't because I'm a nice person.
Yeah, well, and but there is that, there's a way to dress people down and try to make them understand. Like, listen, you seriously, you're making people uncomfortable. You're crossing the line on God-modding part of the time. You're really, you're not making any friends here. So either you're gonna have to change your attitude, or we're gonna have to show you the door. And
that conversation is necessary, and it does need to be pretty blunt.
And if it happens with an officer, it's all the worse.
Conversation nicely ever.
Yeah,
because you don't want it to damage your guild,
right?
Yeah.
And
it will,
and that's the there's that happens. Oops, slap my microphone there. But the what do we call the like guild divides? When something blows up that's major enough that it's often because things have been simmering and brewing and going for a while, but when it finally blows up. How many times have we I think we've all seen it across all the games, that a guild will one night everybody logs in and the next night half the members are gone.
Yep.
Because something exploded, somebody wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, or they overstepped their bounds to such a degree that everybody just bolted. And it happens. It does happen.
Yep. And it's also important to remember that those guild purges, and this is something I learned after 10 years of doing it, they happen. And sometimes there is no, what's the Picard thing that says you can do everything right and still lose?
Mm-hmm. And here's the other side of that. It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah,
sometimes
it's not. And
that will get the worst.
Huge.
Sometimes I've seen several guild splits and guild divides because, the way authority was handled or mishandled, or, if somebody... The people, the guild leaders didn't handle like a problem group correctly, and then everything blew up and that whole group just disappears. It's basically solved. The problem just solved itself. And now you're given the opportunity as a guild leader and officers, those that are left, to restructure, get yourselves together, and you've learned something. You can keep that from happening a second time.
And you got rid of the drama,
and
cauterize the wound.
Yeah, and hit those nails on the head if they start popping up again. You should be able to recognize it from now on. And it still could take it may still happen. I've seen guilds go through several of these purges, so to speak.
Silver circles.
Right. But you also had a 10-year-old guild with, probably hundreds of people cycling in and out of it. But those purges, it can really make your guild stronger, really, or this is going to be the end of it.
Yep.
But
the key to surviving that sort of thing is to remember that it happens, and all you can do is learn from it.
You get to see people who they really are during one of those purges. Either going to have people stand up for what's going on that's correct, or you're going to join the firebrand and go with the flow.
Yeah. And how you handle authority, exactly as he said, that is usually somewhere in the mess is that point right there.
Right.
How the authority is being handled in the guild is almost always at the crux of the problem.
One of my favorite things to do to returning players that had gone away and then came back, realized there are other ways, and gone away and come back, was you'd always see they're joined by a date. And if you looked at Friend, it was like 2008 or something. And I would just say to them, well, there's a thing called loyalty. You should try it sometime. Look at my join date.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing. I don't think we really have this in here, but part of it comes down to, principles. Like, you as a not just as you as a player, you as an individual person, if you have you need to have a certain set of principles in order to actually run these things. Because if you're going to be, you need to be honest. You need to be able to follow through. If you make a promise, try to do your very best to follow through it. Obviously, real life stuff comes up sometimes, so that's not what I mean. I mean things like if you're saying that your guild is going to be this way, that this is your family friendly environment, and then everybody's making vagina jokes all the time or something like that. You need to crack down on that. If it's supposed to be for all ages and things like that, you need to stand by what you say it is, and you need to be, keep, like I said, it's up to your principles, so that you're not there just, if something comes up, you have to check that against what you actually believe. If you think that, lore, people need to follow the lore, or they need to follow the rules, but then your best friend or something starts to break those, which one is more important that you're going to follow? Are you going to just go ahead and let your friend get away with it because they're abusing your friendship, or are you going to follow your principles and call them out on it? Obviously you want to do that privately, but which one are you going to do? And if you don't follow the principles that you've laid down in that guild, and you just go along to get along because it's your friend, it's your buddy, you don't want to, you don't want to cause any waves. Well, for one, your friend's kind of a shithead. And two, if you don't follow those principles, people notice that. They start to notice favoritism. They start to notice that this person over here can get away with this, but the second I do it, I instantly get my ass chewed out.
Well, and it is true to remind that people will say that anyway.
Right, but
if it's true, there's a problem.
Yeah, and I know people will say, so and so gets away with this, and so, and there are certain aspects that, like, for example, if one of the officers is chewing out somebody else and they're dressing them down and cussing them out, and then somebody of a lower rank does that to somebody of an equal rank, but they get in trouble, but the officer doesn't. Well, yeah, because the officer has the authority and that's their job. You, however, are the same rank as this other person. What are you doing chewing them out? Who the fuck do you think you are? Yep. That is a clear-cut case.
And on that note, you have to, if you're the lower rank, or if you're the one getting upset because you feel like you're being, mistreated or targeted. Not respected. Yeah, targeted.
It's a good word.
If you're in a guild and you don't go read their rules and regulations and try to find out about them, that's on you. That's not on the authority figure. Because if you go into a guild and it is an ERP guild and you get butthurt because somebody about, ERP, then that's on you. You have to realize what you're going into.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
She does get props on the butthurt. That was
excellent.
I don't think it was intentional,
ERP
but it was
guild
good.
Named like, House of Earthly Delights in Saran, and you're like, why is there ERP? Then you're done. All right.
Yeah. Or ERP called.
You have to realize
butthole surfers.
Both sides. I mean, you can't just walk into somewhere and expect it to be the way you want it to be.
Yeah.
It is not your guild for one.
Yeah, clearly the only way to make it the way you want it to be is to make a clone army, then fight a robot army, and then manipulate the circumstances between the two until the guild is exactly as you have foreseen it.
I am the Senate.
I am the Senate.
Oh, and I wanted to read something real quick.
Go ahead.
Lauren M91, the one that just is our new follower, they wrote in the Twitch chat, no problem. Y'all are amazing, new to the RP scene, and we've helped so much. So I wanted, that is something nice. We are actually doing good. I feel like a superhero right now.
Well, you are, maybe. I'm just here to make fun of everybody. Especially that one. You know who you are. Yeah.
I'm tired of you making fun of me, okay? I'm tired of it. I know who you're talking about.
It's not that I'm making fun of you. I'm just making fun of your looks. Your head's shaped funny.
I can attest to that.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I was like, how you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. How do I know?
That was a bad hair day. Kishmas.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
worry. I have little hair, so.
You're a bald.
And
almost.
I don't know if this this was in the outline. I was kind of reading through. I didn't see it. But if you're going to be a person of authority, it can be a lonely road.
That is
Very
true,
lonely.
actually.
I know because I've RP'd with Raj, and it's really sad whenever he comes out to RP, just like casual RP, and everybody just stops.
Yeah.
Like,
Picard at the end of Next Gen, he came to that poker game. He said, I should have done this years ago. And they said, you're always welcome. But he had to maintain that separation between officers and commanding officer.
just know if you take that role, it can be very lonely.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is something that is true. And I don't think that people know that enough when they start down the road to authority. They think that it's all going to be like everyone's going to pay attention to them and everything's just, no.
People really do get intimidated. They, not everybody. And here's the thing: in character, you should show the respect and deference that if it's a guild thing that they've earned by managing to rise in the ranks. Just like I hate a terrible example of this: the office of the president, regardless of who is in office. Right. Either before or now, the office of a president is, they did get where they are. And, the office itself, should be respected regardless of whoever's sitting there.
Yes, and that is very true.
Butt in the seat. But
you're on Whitewater right now.
The what?
Whitewater right now.
Whitewater. That's right. But, it's at much less extent in roleplay than obviously the president of the United States. But, a lot of people have earned that. And if it's a guild leader, and especially if it's a big guild, the guild leader, while they may have just created it, they've managed to cultivate this thing, so they've done a lot of work. It doesn't you don't just make a guild and be like, hey, everybody want to join? And 100 people. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all.
Vodka was super lonely, back in the day, and she was a leader. I mean, she was.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why I don't. Vodka herself, it didn't get a lot of roleplay on her other than what I had privately with my officers or with my private storylines, pretty much.
Yeah, she was hated.
Yeah,
nobody really liked her.
People hated me. People hated me.
Because she was the big chair.
Yeah, and it took a lot of. I never expected that, and over the 10 years, I think that was the biggest lesson. When I started talking to actual guild leaders was to tell them, this is going to happen. It does happen.
And that's
it's just the way it is.
What I was going to say, too, is for those people underneath, those people not officers and stuff, while I understand the intimidation, you shouldn't be. They are literally just the exact same person as you. They've just maybe have been in the guild a little longer. Their personality's a little different. They have time to do this kind of thing. But they still like to role play randomly and this kind of stuff just as much as you do. Just the rank and insignia and all that crap is just it's basically fluff, They're there to help keep things running smoothly. They're the oil in the cogs. But they're still also one of the cogs.
And a lot of them have families. They have, because I know my character. Yes, I was intimidated by Kishmas's character, but whenever I would just sit down and talk to him. He would tell me about his, Raj's family, his kid.
Yeah, he's just a person.
It was nice, just to actually just talk to him. So you don't have to be intimidated by him. If you just even though they've got the authority, unless you spit in their face or something, then you need to be scared. But
be afraid.
If you're just, they're just, don't let that title keep you from RPing with them.
It is possible to schmooze the one on top while at the same time try to subvert everything. I'm just saying, you can do it. It has consequences.
You
can do it.
You took it to an art form.
See, that's what Raj prevents. Raj knows the smoozers. And he knows
smoozers. Isn't that a basketball team?
The schmoozers.
There's a person right now.
You can also schmooze and cause a guild civil war and still feel like the one that's not doing it. But hey,
Was that
man, I'm the conductor, not the train guy.
Yeah. Exactly. So, let's see here.
Sorry, I had to throw that topic in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, it was a good one.
No,
That was a
yeah,
good point
it is
today.
true. It can be, but and not everybody, like I'll go and role play with Sibh'Bae, who's head of the, and I don't give a shit about what she is. It's just that I enjoy role playing with her, and often or not, I'll see her just sitting at her desk, just standing there, all alone. So I'm like, hey, someone to talk to. Go in there and talk to her. I don't care. I'm not, I know what that's like. It's the same reason. Other than I like role playing with Kishmas for whatever reason, I like his character Roger, and Tarvala likes him. They think, thinks like a brother. So they constantly are always, snapping at each other or getting offbeat comments or, just being completely inappropriate. But typically it's when there's nobody else around and they can do that. And as soon as somebody shows up,
usually likes to demean.
Oh yeah,
his choice of fashion.
Yeah, he's always making fun of her chest and her hanging out or everything like that, and that's and she gets pissed off at him. She gets all embarrassed at first, and then she gets mad. It's like I look fine.
You're embarrassing me.
Yeah, but he's just Kishmas. He's just before the show, that's just how I always treated him. It's part of that is also because I've been at the top. I've, been in the middle. I've been at the bottom. You just treat them. You just treat them like role players, And if you overstep, obviously you're not going to go like, and another thing, I totally hate the boss that's your boss. Clearly you don't want to do that. You're kind of an idiot, but still. It's not good. So, moving on to kind of a different view. We've got, since we started a little late, we still got a little bit of time. Moving on to how do you RP having the authority? Something like we've been saying, playing guards, ordinators, a local militia, whatever, like a police force. What gives a character or a guild the right to police other people that's in line with lore? One of the servants don't do this so much, around Morrowind. They don't go around being like, halt there, citizen, Enwa, that kind of thing. But there was a guild in EverQuest 2 called Knights of Freeport, and that's kind of what they were built on. They would do patrols around the city and things like that, and
they were also
and they
super annoying.
They also dressed just like the NPCs.
They dressed like the NPCs, and at the beginning they actually did a very good job. Like it was very lore friendly and lore appropriate. After a while, I think it went to their and people, because they did that,
annoying.
Gave them that authority. They played along with it, and then after several years of this went by, they started to overstep, and things went a little sour.
Well, they lost
after
the guy that came up with
the
it
original
originally.
guy, right?
Yeah.
And then they got some power hungry people, like what was that, Urethra or whatever his name was?
I don't even
care.
say his name.
Let's
He
go
who
with
shall not
Urethra.
be named. But yes,
but I
Yeah,
would
he was
insult him
bad.
because he's an idiot.
I agree.
And
I'll let you do that. I don't
single-handedly,
even say his name.
in my opinion, he single-handedly ruined what was an amazingly fantastic guild, which is a shame.
That's
because it
kind
was
of
all
real.
about, it became for him all about personal power and authority and what he could do to lord over other players.
I mean, that's a pattern he kept doing in other guilds, man.
Right.
And he's
From game
ruined every place he touched.
From when he went to other games, I would hear stories and stuff like that too. And
he
the
did
same
it in other
stuff,
games as well.
Same
It's
thing
just
over
part
and
of who he
over.
was.
It's
But
just who he was.
He allowed people to start bullying people, and then they just kind of continued to do it. And although they did towards when I was back in EQ2 for a year and a half, I noticed that the person that I wasn't fond of who was running it, but she was trying very, very hard to backpedal and to get people to do it right.
And she was doing a
whatever her name was. Right. I wasn't fond of her and her behavior overall, but as a guild leader, I thought she did an excellent job.
I saw the same thing, and she seemed. I actually went to a few of their events because, as a whole, the guild was far more enjoyable just to be around. It was before it was impossible to tolerate.
Right.
And that's
I really
exactly
felt
that kind of thing.
Because she told them stop doing that. She said, stop. You have to ask people permission. You can't
You can't God mod that you
Yeah.
have the authority to just, cudgel people and beat them around and handcuff them without the attempts and without maybe permission firsthand and doing the role play that it would be involved in something like that.
Right. But I don't think there was any coming back, which is why she closed the guild in the end.
Well, that part of that was also the game was.
Well, the game was dying.
Yeah,
but
right.
They're still there. The toxic little community is still there, and she could have, I think, kept it going. But I think she realized that what they had been and the historical aspect of it
had ruined it in the eyes of the community.
Right. That nobody was ever going to be able to go back to the way it was.
Which is reputation is a hard thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. So it, and really, like I said, so to make people respect, guild respect is part of that. If your guild is that sort of police force kind of a thing, you really you have to work at that. You have to earn it from the community, because
it's going to take at least a year for you to get from a new role player and a new role play guild that starts this whole I have authority. I have authority.
And you have to make it a fun. You have to make more important. You know what I think? Which don't ever do that again.
That was awesome.
I mean, it was you did a little bit of the backdoor preacher.
I was hearing, what was it? I have the power, power of Grayskull.
He-Man.
I love doing that one too. Kind of a cross between the two. But yeah.
But you have to make it.
Takes a year.
Well, and you can speed. And here's the thing too. You probably, to get fully there, it might take that long. But you could start seeing results within like a month. And here's how you do it. You make it fun. It's role play. If it's frustrating and all you're doing is beating people over the head with constantly berating them and this and that and causing out of character drama, you're not going to get there in any amount of time. But if you make it fun and entertaining, and you're willing to take, you're going to have to take losses again, because you can't play, you can't play look at the modern day police. They don't catch everybody. Doesn't happen. People run away, people hop fences, people hide under plastic swimming pools. That one usually doesn't work that well, but I've seen it tried. But it was a funny episode of Cops. But you're going to have to be willing to lose, or the thief to get away, and because people, if you do that, they'll be like, okay, these guys are cool, they'll play along. So maybe next time, something, they'll play along a little bit more themselves. And it,
right.
If you make it, it's role play. It has to be at its very core of everything we do. It has to be entertaining, fun, and enjoyable. Because if it's not one of those three things, or preferably all of them, why are you there?
For the other people,
right? For everybody involved,
it needs to be for everybody.
One of these things is not like the other.
And when I say it takes a year, I'm talking about
to really
people,
lock yourself into the community.
Having a couple of 10, 15, maybe even 20 people who are like, yeah, you're cool, is one thing. But Pallid Mortis would log on and start walking down the street, and people would run away.
Yeah.
He was scary.
Or they would nod to him. I had a nice, him and Xanis, they had a good little feud going. They were always, Xanis didn't back down from him either, especially when he was outside of his city. But he had respect for him. He didn't like him. He respected him though, and there's a big difference. Yeah. And Insomniac does say, it to do it really well, it is a writing thing. That definitely comes into it with making the authority believable. That you have to be able to talk. You have to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. Because if your lingo doesn't match up with what you're playing, you come off sounding a little silly.
If you are this big bad person that is in charge, and you turn around, I'm not saying this happened. I'm not saying this happened. But if Kishmis was diddling some Khajiit on the side in public view, get Riften, for example, and then would go and be Mr. Badass at his guild, eventually that's going to bleed over and it will affect how people treat his character because he's a hypocrite. And while that's maybe that's what he wants. But when you are looking at, I know people that have been like, but I'm in charge. Yes, but you're doing this over here and people know about it.
Yeah.
And so it is affecting the way, I mean, Vodka was always mirrors and smoke and bitchy, harpy person. And that's what made her hard to play, was because I could never not do that. And the only people who knew was Xanis and, well, the people in her bedroom. Yeah. Because they got to see her. Yeah, they got to see her with her hair down. They got to see, because her hair was always, remember the braid?
The bun and the braid, yeah.
Braid of death.
Braid, that was it. Braid, not bun, braid.
The braid of death. That she could go invis, but the braid would still be bouncing around because of the
physics,
graphical issues. Yeah. But
well, it's like I'm a Catholic bishop. Yeah, but you're also a pedophile. Not all of them, obviously, but you know, it's those guys that it's the same thing. Like, yes, you're supposed to be this holier than thou and better than everybody else kind of person, and yet, like, dude, you're not just sinning. You're like going straight to hell sinning, dude. You ain't making it. It doesn't matter how many Hail Marys you give it. You're, as far as I'm concerned, you done.
Yeah, and it's important to understand that if you're going to be a certain type of authority figure, like Vaka was, she never let her guard down. No one ever saw her in anything that was a compromising position. She always had that braid. She was always in armor. When she was relaxed, she was in armor.
Right.
I've seen that braid gone. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, yes, but you were also,
Well, and we had an ordinator not part of the guild, and they weren't really that great of a person, so I don't really care. That they would do one thing, and then turns out they were also going out to the Riften area, and they were like totally abusing the quote unquote authority that they should have, but would only be within the lands of Morrowind. And they were out there trying to pull that bullshit in a totally different area and causing trouble and making things look bad. And, you know, and we found out about it, I think, after the fact, you know.
Yeah, it was after.
It was even after.
It really colored the way I looked at your guild.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I thought because he said this was all sanctioned. So I was
nobody
like,
knew.
Well, if that's sanctioned, then they're not really following lore, and I just don't want anything to do with them. So it took me when he told me that this was the guild that he was in, because I didn't realize it was the same guild. So I thought they were two separate guilds.
Right.
Once I put two and two together,
I remember you actually we had the conversations like, so what's this other tribunal guild out there? And I'm like, there ain't another tribunal guild out there. Well, we have, you had this guy, it's like, oh, hey, Kishmas, you want to hear something?
Oh my god!
And that was because I was in Riften all the time with Ciel, and he was always hassling people.
That guy got burned.
Oh yeah, he was a grade A douchebag.
That's when Raj is. Go ahead, Raj. Sorry.
Once he tried to overthrow the hierarchy, me and Lil were like, get the fuck out," you know. And
yeah,
that was
fucking idiot. Plus, he always caused OOC drama.
A lot of OOC drama. Right.
Eat. If you're out there and you're listening, eat a fucking dick. All right. You know, suck a bag of dicks.
I was going to say that's when Raj's Authoritah kicked in.
Yeah. Well, and in that case, because he was causing both kinds of. He was basically like really bad press. In character, out of character, he was overstepping his bounds. He was making people look at the guild badly. He was causing problems within the guild. He was causing problems outside of the guild. He was making the officers have to deal with all this bullshit. One person is only worth so much effort, you know?
Yeah.
And it just comes down to that. And after that point, you let Raj loose. You let him off the chain. You let him out of the yard. And
you let me do my thing, and I'll fucking end his life.
That's right. You just
and see,
you just act like you're at
someone like that.
What's the pumpkin smashing guy, or not the pumpkin?
Gallagher.
You just have to Gallagher it and put the plastic bag over your head and let Raj just tear into him like a fucking fat kid at a Twinkie factory.
When I had a problem with somebody and I had exhausted every effort, I just turned Rengots and Tilger loose. And said, "Okay, guys," and they're like, "Really, like a kid in a candy store."
You really gonna let us do this?
See, do your worst. I've offered a few times in ESO, and she never lets me do it.
scary dark elves that skip their loo over out the guild hall after that person. That's one of those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And they never, I mean this, guys, they were so bad. Ideally, they would chase these people out of the guild within 3 days. It never took longer than 3 days.
Yeah.
Ever. I was always just blown away.
So move this on to the last one here before we kick it out of here. Dealing with those guilds that overstep their bounds and how to do it correctly. Basically, stick to lore. Like we've said, if the community doesn't recognize your authority as the guild or a police force, you're just a walking joke that isn't taken seriously. Something that is, you're just something there that for people to snub their nose at, wiggle their butt at, and make fun of, and then hamper, and then they just scamper off. Like, because literally in game, what are you going to do? You can't do anything. When
you don't have any real power.
Right.
Yeah.
When you say, stop right there. I don't really, you could chase them all the way through the zone, but game mechanics, you can't do shit. There's nothing you can do. Unless I guess it's an open PvP game, then you can gank them, but that's about it. But, so if you don't have that, and I've seen that, that's what I saw with that Freeport guild. After a while, people, they didn't take them seriously. So they turned into this joke, like they would shout out in the zone, and then when they first were doing things like that, like I don't remember what their saying was. It was something for Lucandelier, and the rest of them would shout it back, and people respected it. They were cool with it. And then after a while, then other people would shout back like, Lucandelier sucks,
or worse.
Or they'd be like,
what he sucked.
Yeah, like Knights of Freeport are a joke, or
Suck a syphilis dick.
Right.
It was those days that I experienced those guys, and no one took them serious. They were paying everybody's backs. No one cared. They lost all their respect.
Yeah,
and they were super annoying, and they just come up to you like, dude, I'm ignoring your RP because you suck, bro.
Yeah,
sorry, that's how it is.
Right, and you don't want, you don't want to do that. I would much rather be like, yeah, I'd like to be a little, like to be harassed by the, police or something like, whatever. But
that's a good kink.
Right. I get off on being harassed by the police.
Put the cuffs on me.
But that's far more fun role play to be able, to play along with a town guard or something like that and have a conversation or think and roll interactions with them versus like, dude, it's I'm standing here. You've got no reason to stop it other than saying, hi, citizen. Why are you harassing me?
They started pulling people over for kissing. I remember that.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
That kind of do that. That did them in.
What, did they turn into a fucking high school hall monitor?
No PDA.
Right.
No
PDA. No PDA. No public displays of affection. Or you would get a ticket, and they would threaten to arrest you. And it just got to be so silly that
now everybody come to our public execution, but no kissing during it.
I believe Marion and some random dude, we RP'd making out as they came by on their patrol. Yeah, it was hilarious. And they were like, do you want us to arrest you? They asked me OOC. And I'm like, dude, get a life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's
Keep
just
moving.
silly.
Nothing to see here. Keep moving.
Yeah.
Take a picture. It'll last longer.
They totally lost. They totally lost all their authority for one bad leader and a string of crap deals.
Right.
I mean, they never could recover.
No, and that's the thing. It's reputation is everything in an MMO and in a community. And if it gets if other people tarnish it, you can actually recover from that because it's just word of mouth, and actions usually will eventually speak louder than words. But if it comes from within,
you're
one bad seed.
Yeah. Well, and when that seed's at the very top, that's that whole tree grows rotten and to the core. Last one we've already kind of hit. So, how do you establish such an authority in your community? Of course, being a solid, constant role player, and one of integrity that follows through with the lore of that which you wish. Wow.
What? You see, the Knights of Freeport.
You know what? Fuck it. We're done.
Back.
No.
If they would have got rid of their bad leadership, if they would have gone back to what made them great and just kept being solid role players instead of embracing the derp side, They could have got it back, but they never did. They just kept getting worse and worse.
The one that soiled it for.
Yep.
He was in charge for years, so
there just was no coming back from that.
After that, it was just awful, and and I hate it sucked because it was such a cool guild, It was. And if anybody out there is listening to this and you don't feel like you were part of it, well, you probably weren't. And if you were, sorry, man. We don't really have an agenda here other than to just tell it as we see it. This is our opinions, and suck it.
Go start your own podcast.
That's right. Go start your own podcast.
Bite me.
But so,
did you say bite me?
Bite me.
I did.
I mean, you can if you want, but
I heard bite me too.
I heard bite me.
So all right. So we got. I think that's pretty much it for that.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
I need Authoritah. That's my final thought.
You're already married to me. You got enough authority over me already as it is. I don't need any more.
Sometimes the best way to gain authority is by playing a humble character, rise to the ranks, learning the ropes. Because if you come from the bottom at the top, you're going to be a much more even-handed leader than if you just are given the ring of power right off the bat.
I have the power.
Somebody say ring of power? My precious.
Oh, jeez.
Stupid fat hobbits, you're ruining it.
Anyway.
Wow.
So, all right. Well, I think that'll wrap up the show. So that's You Will Respect My Authority, episode 46, right there. So,
Yep.
But, well, I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight over at twitch.tv.
Thank you.
/RPMMORadio. If you want to join us again, 7 Central Time every Saturday, we will be here. But will you? You will.
They will. And don't be purple Wookiee.
That's right.
Or
no
else.
Wookiees. But no, we do appreciate everybody listening. If you want to contact us, rpmmradio.com/discord. If you want to chat with us on the Discord server, rpmmradio@gmail.com. You can also catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun social media places. Oh, one last thing. If you are interested in Reddit and you're a Reddit user, I actually created a subreddit called MMORPG Roleplay. A lot of the roleplay servers out there are terrifying, and a lot of the MMORPG ones are not great. But there's really no place for MMORPG role players to congregate on Reddit that I've ever seen. I looked and looked and looked. So if you are in any game whatsoever and you want to try to join a subreddit and a community, it's not really going to be related to the show. It's going to be a pretty much open, free range as long as it has to do with roleplay and MMOs. So feel free to head over there, join it, take a look, start a conversation. Cool, whatever. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I figured we'd give it a shot and see if we can get roleplay communities across all the entire genre into one place, just to hang out and share ideas and help each other out. So I almost completely forgot that I had done that. Probably not a great sign on my half, but we actually have the Smiling Sorcerer. He's going to help me moderate it, just to help make sure that people don't just throw up giant My Little Pony penises everywhere. So there's that.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate that. So I want to give a special thanks, of course, to everybody on the show. Sibh'Bae, Kishmas, Jazz, and Sib. I want to give a special thanks to Rahanar for being our call screener, who did a great job, and Insomniac, of course, for calling it in. I am your host, Ashen Phoenix, and tune in next time when we'll go over why halflings are the ultimate authority in terror. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody. The thoughts and opinions of those on RPMMO Radio and their crew are just that, and should not ever be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music, as always, is provided by the great Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.